Welcome world. Welcome to this first live event for Van Aarsen International, streamed to you from a studio we built in our production facility in Panheel, the Netherlands. Why is this event so special? Well, for us, it's a unique opportunity to connect with you, to contact you about news, like launching a product later on in the show. But also for you, it's a unique opportunity to connect with us. So what do we have in store? In this 1.5 hour session for you, first we introduce Van Aarsen to you. Then we have a quick look at how COVID-19 has influenced and challenged us. A quick look into the future. And then we take some time to talk about the core of this company, developing machines and solutions for you. My name is Noura Kuppens, marketing manager at Van Aarsen, and I will be your host for this session. Now let's get started. Welcoming Erik de Graaff, our sales director. He has decades of experience in sales and management, in process-related industry, and now in the feed industry. Welcome, Erik.
Thank you, Noura, and thank you for this impressive introduction.
You're welcome. I do my best.
Good.
Erik, can you give us a short introduction about Van Aarsen and its core activities?
I'm happy to do that, of course. Well, Van Aarsen specializes in machinery for aqua and feed production. Sometimes we only supply machines, sometimes we only supply a production line, but preferably, and we also do that a lot, we supply entire automated production lines, complete turnkey factories, included software and control systems. We undertake the end-to-end process from design, to engineering, to production, to installation on site, and of course also the commissioning on site and the training of the operators of the customers and the after-sales service. The heart of our systems are equipment that we manufacture ourselves, and in some cases we work with securely selected local suppliers, partners. But finally, the most important machinery, as we call it, the heart of the system, they're manufactured here in this location in Panheel, which is our headquarters. We also have a smaller factory in Slovakia, where we manufacture, we always say, the less complicated stuff like silos, hoppers, and conveyors.
Very clear. In your opinion, Erik, what do our customers value in our products and our solutions?
Well, I think that's the predictability, because I believe that if a customer buys or invests in a feed production line or factory, he doesn't specifically buy equipment. Yes, you need the equipment, but finally he's interested to build up a relationship and be sure that the investment he makes will pay off and that he will start earning money with it. And that's basically what we are aiming at, and where he is also aiming at. So the costs of the production need to be as he has calculated before. And a production facility will be profitable if the cost per ton will be as low as possible, but also as low as predicted, as calculated. Otherwise, it will not pay off at the end. And this can be reached by supplying high quality equipment, reliable, with high uptimes, and of course, smart automation systems which create this high uptime. And not to forget the reliable service, because if there is a standstill, well, we need to respond soon. Well, and with our 70 years experience, and I think that the people who are looking from that camera can see it in back of me, there is a very old hammer mill from 70 years ago when it all started. We have that experience in-house. And we control all the elements of the production we have here in-house. And so in that way, we can assure the customer a profitable factory and, most important, a good night rest.
Indeed, and you say 70 years of experience with a lot of milestones probably. Can you mention the last key milestones of the last 5 years?
Yeah, well, I'm happy you only asked for the last 5 years, because otherwise I would need a lot of time. But and what I did about the last 5 years, I just picked out 5 factories, a bit random, not completely to be honest. But let's start with a factory. It's very close to here, only 150 kilometers, just across the border in Germany. It was an interesting and challenging project. What was interesting and what was challenging, the fact that it was a factory located in the center of a small village, and it went into fire. So there was a big challenge to have a new factory as soon as possible. But the customer made it a little bit more complicated. He said, well, instead of 25 hour per ton pig feed production, I'd like to have 50 tons per hour, but on the same footprint. Because if I want to build a bigger factory, I have to obtain new permits. And that, well, he saw as quite difficult. So with a lot of creative engineering, a lot of talks with the customer, we finally managed to come up with a proposal to build this 50-ton factory on the same footprint. And the customer awarded us with the order. That was quite a challenging project. Another project I can mention, not really far away as well, is with the Heemels. The Heemels is one of our very important partners and customers, I should say, where we built in Kędzice in Slovakia a 50-ton per hour feed mill for chicken and pig feed. Interesting in this project is that we did the pre-engineering, and based on that pre-engineering, the Heemels decided to complete the majority of the equipment with Van Aarsen, which was very nice, of course. And an interesting detail, that's why I mentioned it as well, we implemented there for the first time our newly developed butterfly hoppers with a special outlet, creating a unique flowing characteristic and a very easy mountability. In the evaluation at the end with the Heemels, they said they were very happy with the results, and well, it's certainly promising for the future. A little bit farther from home, we did a project which was concluded about a year ago in Oman in the Middle East, a 50-ton feed mill for a broiler, 3.5 mil pellets, which are reduced in size via crumbler. It contains 2 hammer mills, a 10,000 liter mixer, dosing stations, 2 pellet mills. A very interesting project, including outside storage. That's not always what we do. Sometimes the customer does it itself. But it includes 4 silos of 2,500 tons. But also the dosing and finished feed silos were part of our scope. The building, the customer did it himself. Still under construction, a little bit delayed because of all the corona issues we had, of course. Interpack in Mexico, an integrator. Nice thing on that, this project is the fact that this customer also had his factory, in fact, in the middle of the city, Aguascalientes. I like the word, that's why I tell it. But it was 55 years old. Well, that's interesting, of course, but at the same moment, I think, don't we make our equipment too good if it lasts for 55 years? But at the end, he decided that they wanted to build outside the city a complete new factory. Well, to make a long story short, we did pre-engineering. We got the order for the 60-ton per hour feed mill for poultry and pig, with an extension to 120 ton. And we're currently in construction that site. We supplied all the silos, everything, control, automation. Only the building, again, the customer did himself. And well, I mentioned 5 projects, so I will mention the last one, but not the least one. It's the Rupsi feed mill in Bangladesh. We were about to start the commissioning and installation works. Also a little bit delayed because of Corona. Very interesting project. A total capacity of 110 tons per hour, where they make 3 different species. Poultry. They have 3 production lines, 1 times a 20 ton and 2 times a 10 ton. For pellets, they have 1 poultry line, 10 ton for mash. They get 3 production lines for cattle. And finally, they get also 3 production lines for aqua feed, for 4, 7 and 10 ton, both for floating and sinking feed. And this last project we do together in the partnership with Wenger. So that's quite a challenging project, and for us a very good reference in the area.
These are some really nice, interesting key milestones indeed.
Yeah.
You mentioned Bangladesh.
Yeah.
And the aqua line, with the wild fish stock decreasing. We know that aquaculture is filling that gap. Can you tell us more about how Van Aarsen view and action is on this?
Yeah, of course. I will keep it short again because we have a lot of other very important and interesting topics. But we anticipated to this development by the developing of a dedicated aqua feed mill, starting with a capacity of 5 tons per hour. We did it by making connection to reputable extruder companies. We don't make our extruders ourselves. We also connected to people who are good in the cooling of it. And the fine grinding, we have developed our own hammer mill in such a way that we can also handle the fine grinding, which are required for this type of feed production. And again, the project in Bangladesh is a very clear example of the success of that. Yeah.
Clear. And what is Van Aarsen's vision on the global development in the feed industry?
Yeah, it's diverse. But if you look to the developing countries, what you see, and certainly in the more urbanized areas of the developing countries, there's an increasing consciousness about food quality and safety. And they are changing their minds towards more protein-rich food and also value-added products, which leads to an increasing demand for fish and meat. And well, more fish and meat, but means more feed for fish and meat. This not only opens a bigger market, but also requires a diversified approach, compact, lower costs, and fit-for-the-job solutions for the developing countries. A good example of that are our compact feed mills. On the other hand, we're working hard on high-end solutions for the more, let's call it, developed areas, with all respect, where food safety and efficiency will be the major issue. One of the reasons that we started, and I don't tell too much about it, I will only mention it, our Smart Field project, but we'll come back on that in the future, I can tell you.
Thank you very much, Erik. Joining me at the table is Ronald Heemels. Welcome, Ronald.
Thank you very much, Noura.
You recently joined Van Aarsen as Manager Technical Customer Service, but you have over 20 years of experience in service-related areas. Do you feel it's quite different in the feed industry?
No, I don't think it's that different. Maybe the approach to your goal or the content of topics can be different, but the goal itself is always the same, and that's helping your customers and being of added value. And then it doesn't matter in what kind of industry you work. What always important is that you see your customers as partners. But then it's very important that it's not a one-way communication, because both parties have the same responsibility to make it work. From our end, to make it work, we need a good team. And what I noticed 1 year ago when I started for Van Aarsen is that we have a high motivated team with people who take full responsibility to help our customers. And they do that after a machine, a production line, or even a complete feed mill has been handed over. Customers who already know us for a couple of years or even longer know that we don't stop with just delivering a machine, but we take care of the total life cycle of that machine, or maybe a production line or a feed mill, of course. The service we support, that can be remotely, of course, or that can be by visiting our customers all around the world.
I think you especially would like to visit them in some cases. So how has COVID-19, the current pandemic, challenged your department?
Yeah, that's had a big impact, of course. Whatever topic you discuss at this moment, you cannot ignore COVID-19, of course. Last year was difficult. We had a lot of restrictions, even total lockdowns. If we look at visiting our customers, that was very, very difficult. In most cases, this was more expensive, or even it was not possible. And if we look at 2020 and we look at the previous years, then we see that last year we had 50% less visits to our customers. And that's not what we want, of course. But there's also an opposite side of COVID-19, and that we are being challenged to think in an inventive and creative way other ways of contacting our customers. Teams and Zoom became a normal part of our life, of course, and took over the face-to-face communication. But what we want is, of course, visiting our customers. And we were forced to think in different ways of giving remote control support, but also very important is that we got more and more understanding about the importance of having a solid and strong network of agents. So that's very important for us.
I can imagine. So on one hand, you embrace the technology. On the other hand, you know you have to be there. So having a network of agents all over the world must have an advantage for our customers, right?
Yeah, especially last year, of course. The advantages of having agents is, of course, that you can do that in your own language. You can do it in your own time zone. You are being helped by a local team. So that are very important things, of course. And if we look at the global presence we have in the world, then a lot of countries are being helped by our agents. And where we don't have agents, but where we are active, we do it by ourselves. But in addition to that, because we want to improve all the time, we started in 2019 Vanasa Americas in Brazil, in Vinhedo, to have a local team over there. There's a sales team, there's a service team, so we can give our Latin American customers the service they need and they deserve. Of course, we follow all developments in the world, and that's very important, of course. We listen to our customers, and we always want to adapt to those requirements of those customers, because there's one thing we want, and that is giving the best service we can.
Yeah, and service is a broad term, and
it is.
It works throughout the whole organization, everywhere. But maybe good if you can give us some points of the main tasks of your department.
I will. Of course, there are a lot of things we can offer to our customers, but I will keep it short, otherwise it will be too long. But there are a few things I want to highlight to our customers. And if we start with the first one, is wear and spare parts. It's very important for our customers to know that we can make recommended spare part lists for machines, for production lines, or even a complete feed mill. So if they have that request, please come to us and we make a recommended list for that. Another very important thing about spare parts is when they have an emergency situation, please get in contact with Van Aarsen. Because especially for the critical parts, we have a minimum stock. So we are willing to help, we want to help, so please contact us and we can see what we can do. Other things of supporting our customers is, of course, remote control or on-site support. If we look at technical support, so the remote support we can give, then we can get you in contact with an engineer or maybe with a mechanic, or when you have an automation problem that can be done. But even if you have a normal question about a manual or another topic, then please contact us and we can give you the right information, of course. Then we have on-site service, the field service. Now, there are several ways of having field service. The most common, of course, is that we have corrective maintenance, we have preventive maintenance. Hopefully in the future we will be having predictive maintenance. So we can do assembly of projects, we can do startups. So we have a lot of things we can do. But there are two things I want to mention specifically, and that are the aftercare visits and the audits. Because when we handed over a project, after a few months, you want to do a sort of health check of your system. And that's an aftercare visit. And we think it's very important that we come back on site, do that extra check to fine-tune everything so they will get the best outcome they deserve. And when we talk about audits, we can divide that in two sorts of audits. We have the technical audits and we have the process audits. If we talk about technical audits, then we talk about the mechanical, let's call it the mechanical health check of your machines. You get a report for every machine in a detailed report. So it's very specific. If we look at the process audits, then it's a different approach. We don't look at the machines itself, but we look at a line or a complete feed mill and the processes within that feed mill. And it's very important if you want to improve the quality of your product, or you want to enhance the efficiency of your line, or you want to create more capacity of your line. Then we can come on site, do that check, and advise you what you can do. And sometimes, or most of the times, we can help you to fine-tune it, to get the goals you want, and help the customers in the best way, of course. 2 things left. One of them, of course, training. We think training is a very important thing because the employees, they control your machines. So you can have the best machine, but the output is also created by the employees who work with that machine, of course. So we give trainings. If you want, we can give training for a certain machine. Maybe if you have a production line, we can support that as well. So also for training, please contact us for that. And last but not least, of course, also in the Netherlands, we only work from 8 to 5. So if you have a problem without working hours or in the weekend, of course, we have an emergency service. You can contact your agent, but if your agent is not, you cannot reach your agent, then you can always call our emergency service, and we will be there for you. We have a first line support. If necessary, we have a second line support. So in general, we can always help our customers at any time.
Sounds clear. So you always strive to provide the best possible service to every customer?
Of course.
You can contact service also via the website, but also via this email address. There's always somebody checking that inbox, I think.
The whole list I just mentioned, if you have questions about that, please, it's a simple email address. Go to service@aarsen.com and we will help you in the best way.
Let's see, I have a question from our audience.
Okay.
And they ask, how will I know whom to contact from my country?
Okay, that's a good question, of course. We have several agents in several countries, of course, so I can understand that not everybody knows how to contact. There are 2 ways to do that. Of course, you can send an email to service@aarsen.com and we will supply you the answer. Or the other thing is you can go to our website, and on the website all our agents are mentioned with the belonging countries to it.
We have gathered some quotes of some customers of us, and let us show you these quotes. For Van Aarsen, research and development is crucial, and it's in our core, it's in our DNA, as mentioned earlier, and it ensures we constantly are up to date on technical, nutritional and animal welfare developments. With me is Harold Schroijen, Area Sales Manager South, Central and Eastern Europe, with over 20 years of experience at Van Aarsen. And together we will have a look at the latest changes, updates in the portfolio of Van Aarsen. Harold, welcome.
Thank you.
Can you tell us how we extended and adapted our portfolio?
Yeah, that's the question. In the feed milling market, we don't see many changes actually with completely new developments. But due to pressure on price, use of alternative raw materials, developing markets, use of energy, but of course also on product quality and animal health. We, as a solution provider, have to keep on developing, and not only to meet and support that market from our clients, but also be ahead of it. So that means not only thinking along with the clients to enable them to produce their feed in the most efficient way, and most economical way, of course, but also we need to meet their demands and take them as our starting point. So actually, that's thinking along with the clients from our clients. They need optimized feeds, animal feed conversion rates, and they need to have the right feed according to the animal's needs in every life stage, actually. So that challenges us actually every time again, every day again, for an ongoing process and product development and improvements to this, to provide these clients actually all the time the possibilities to work on the highest levels of quality, efficiency, flexibility, and of course also in the best thinkable way, the highest level, to be economical, competitive for them. So for instance, let's say take the compact feed mill. It was mentioned earlier. That is also a result of the market demand. It was developed for, let's say, starting up markets, small-scale production facilities, but on the other hand, still use the high-quality equipment with a high uptime of the equipment. So that's very important. So without the extensive maintenance, which you can have for the lower quality equipment, and also we can use the highly, if we don't need to use the highly experienced and skilled operators for that.
The compact feed mill is a total solution. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, of course. Actually, this resulted for us in two completely standardized units of 5 and 10 tons per hour for the animal feed, and another 2 versions for the sinking aqua feed. So these both are compact enough to fit in a warehouse, but still spacious enough to create a safe working environment for operation as well as for maintenance. So next to that standard equipment and standardized equipment, let's say, inside, we also have some extra standardized options still to make it custom for each client and every product demand. So due to that detailed execution and a bolted construction, it is also designed and to be able to relocate it. So if turns out, for example, when the sales market is reacting positively in that area, then and it justifies a bigger feed mill, then you can relocate it to a new location. Or when the opposite turns out, that it has become clear that another location should be the better one for this. So you can easily relocate it again. But of course, when it turns out that it's a keeper, there is also still the possibility to enlarge the capacity because it's not limited by its own design.
And it looks compact. To get a grasp how compact it is, do you know some height or footprint by heart?
Okay, good question. It fits in a warehouse. Let's say the 5 tons an hour, it's about 12 meters of height. So that's really, really low, actually. And I think the 10 meters of the 10 tons an hour would fit in a 19 meters high building. So that's also not that big for a 10 tons capacity feed mill.
Yeah, indeed. That's why it's called compact feed mill.
Yeah, correct.
So from this total solution we offer, let's talk about some process solutions. And in the heart of every loved feed mill, the hammer mill beats. Let us have a more elaborate look at the grinding process.
Yeah, that was nice said about that hammer mill that beats in every heart. Yeah, let's say we see a hammer mill from 70 years ago, and it still is. This one is of course not working, but we see the hammer mill is well developed over the years. And if we see our grinding equipment, we see it back in all markets of animal feed, aqua feed, pet food, some biofuel, and we have references for these grinding solutions all over. And also in pre-grinding, in post-grinding, in places where capacity is important, but other places where flexibility has the highest priority, or even a combination of both. So it is not only to have this brilliant production figures in terms of capacity or particle sizes for all types of feed, but just as important, or let's say even more important, it happens at the lowest production cost. And that is coming from its high uptime due to its fast screen changing, fast hammer changing. And on the other side, we also see the low wearing cost because of the big grinding surface we do on the breaker plates. So with that technique available at Van Aarsen, yeah, we also thought we need to use it. We need to use it right also for our clients. And that takes the optimization possibilities of the nutritional value of the feed. So that brings us to look at the optimum nutrients particle size for each animal species at a certain life stage. So if we look at that in general, then we say, okay, we have possibilities. Let's say in a pre-grinding setup of a feed mill, we have the possibilities to grind on components particle size. And we can combine everything we need on nutrients value. But in a post-grinding setup, which is actually most used in the market, there we don't have that possibility in a normal way because everything is dosed in a batch and grinded on the same screen. So to be able to combine the best of both, Van Aarsen developed a third option, and that's called split grinding. So that split grinding, in short, means that we take the advantages of both, which from pre-grinding, say the single product grinding. Okay, it's not really single product grinding. And on the other hand, we can still do that in a post-grinding setup, and with its own advantages of that combined grinding on that hammer mill. So we have two options in that split grinding, and say, yeah, one, depending actually on available space, but also on investment possibilities. And nice thing is to see that we do that in that post-grinding setup, and the only thing which is different is the unloading bin under the dosing weigher and the use of the automatic screen exchange on our hammer mill. So that takes us to the split grinding, where we see that what we actually do is we split up each recipe into two separate sub-batches. And we send them one by one to the hammer mill within the same normal batch time. So first we combine from a recipe in a dosing weigher all the carbohydrate-rich products into a sub-batch, and we send it to the hammer mill with a big screen for coarse grinding. Meanwhile, the protein-rich components are being dosed, and in the time between the two batches, the automatic screen exchange switches screens for the fine ground product. So you don't lose any time in this. And in the following bin above the mixer, both sub-batches come together again and will be mixed homogeneously. So it's normally you have, let's say, the 6 minutes or 5 minutes batch time, and here it will all be combined in two sub-batches, still having that same batch time of that 5 minutes in total. So the nice thing about that split grinding setup is that it also fits in a lot of cases, and it can be done in an existing situation with, in the basics, the use of that automatic screen exchange. So as we see here, only the setup with the automatic screen exchange. Second option is to use the automatic screen exchange or the hammer mill, let's say for the protein-rich components, and to use the roller mill for the carbohydrate-rich components. So then investment costs are higher, but still the sub-batches are used. So the functionality actually stays the same.
I understand the advantage of this for the nutritional value of the feed. But I can also imagine this split grinding setup is not for every feed miller. Do they have to do something? Does it mean there are no options for them in terms of split grinding?
Yes, of course. Still there are. And I also know split grinding cannot be done for every feed mill, not for every feed miller. But this is a nice option to have. And it is also possible to adapt in a normal post-grinding setup. But also with a normal post-grinding setup, you have possibilities by using that hammer mill with the automatic screen exchange. So let's say they need flexibility. In a time where each farmer would like to have a separate feed for his animals in a certain life stage, yeah, flexibility is a must. So with that automatic screen exchange, we can serve that. The only thing is that we need to put it on. And if we have a hammer mill, a standard hammer mill, and we would like to adjust it with an automatic screen exchange, that is possible because its footprint stays exactly the same. The same footprint, the same height, and you can continue working with it in a very flexible way. So that automatic screen exchange, yeah, it has 3 screens coming from the top, recipe controlled. So that means within the batch changing time, so you don't lose any production time with it. It's always the preferred screen perforation, getting the optimum nutritional value of the feed for its animals. So it's 100% flexibility to your clients. So also here, for normally post-grinding systems, if you use a hammer mill with that automatic screen exchange, you combine it with a frequency controller on the motor, and you have a sieve, for instance, on top of the hammer mill, you also have perfect possibilities for structure grinding, even in a post-grinding setup.
Okay, but some feed millers might say, yeah, but I combine my recipes on one screen and the operator is there anyway, and I don't need it, and I don't change the screen that much or that often. Yeah, I can imagine that's said. I also hear the story sometimes, but I know also for sure that if you don't need to think about all these points, life will be a lot easier and a lot quicker, of course, also because it's easier and you have better results in more precise grinding products. So, and think of only the capacity increase if you don't lose any time by switching the screens. And even switching the screens only once will take, let's say, 10 minutes. So let's make a careful calculation, but simple, but careful. Let's see. If you have a grinding setup and you, let's say, only shift it once every 2 hours on a 24-hour production day. So that's not that much. So 12 times 10 minutes you earn is 120 minutes, is 2 hours of extra production time. So that's really a lot. And if you then imagine that the capacity of the hammer mill will be 40 tons an hour, so then you gain 80 tons per day of extra product. So I know that people say, okay, but I don't work 24 hours a day or every time, and I also need to stop sometimes because I have maintenance or I have to do this and that. But perhaps on the other side, not only changing the screens once every 2 hours, but perhaps even more. So then think about the big numbers. So what will the gain be in capacity by using this? So only looking at that extra capacity, you will see the return on investment will be really short for this. It sounds like a no-brainer to me.
It is, Noura. Yeah.
So I see flexibility, efficiency is key, is important, very important in the grinding line. How about we take a step towards the next step in the process, the conditioning and pelleting line? What can we say about that? Yeah, of course. Also there are some challenging points in that pelleting line, because also there we see
where one is trying to achieve his production so efficient as possible, and then in combination with the requested flexibility in products and in sizes. But the other one is increasing its production and is only focused on capacity in the line and would like to produce as much as possible. So we have to make sure our products and our processes of both flexibility and capacity have the better options, have the points, and we can serve them. That is what we need to do. So we need to look in the most efficient way. So flexibility in the pelleting line actually means the possibility for a fast product changeover or a quick die change. So both these are our focus points for us. Then let's say we check the fast product changeover. So if we look at that, then we see the product, the final product from one batch is coming down from the dosing screw down to the pellet mill. And in the meantime, in the second pellet mill bin, the next recipe is already waiting waiting for the signal to start. So what we see then is that the product entering the steam mixer is entering, but because there is no intelligence in that steam dosing, the first product most probably will be too wet because steam dosing is starting too early, or it's too dry. Both options actually are not preferred. So we are looking at some intelligence to that, and our automation guys actually did that for us. They made the predictive steam dosing, which means that we use all parameters which are available in that pelleting line to be able to predict how much product is entering the steam mixer on a certain time. And then also the first product has its heat treatment before it exits the steam mixer and goes to the pellet mill. So even in a normal situation with a normal steam mixer, this is possible. But you can imagine when heat treatment is mandatory, then you need to be 100% sure that all product had its heat treatment. So for that, we suggest to use the hot start steam mixer. And that hot start steam mixer is, it's a bit different because we closed actually with a actuator operated slide, we closed the exit of the steam mixer. So as soon as the product starts, we see that the product is coming from the dosing screw and it goes into the steam mixer. The slide is closed, product comes in, and then the automation knows, okay, there is so much product inside the steam mixer, so we can start dosing that steam on a certain amount. And because the slide is closed, the product is going up and down in that steam mixer until the average temperature at the end of the steam mixer is on the right level. So that is what is happening with this hot start steam mixer. And as soon as that temperature is reached, then that actuator operated slide opens slightly, just enough for the capacity at that moment. And then it operates again like a more or less normal steam mixer. But what I would like to say about this is that also here, with this fast product changeover, we can have we know for sure that all product has its heat treatment before entering the pellet mill. And because of this short time, we can save 30 to 50% of the startup time. So if you make a small calculation for that again, then also there, we can see that there is a lot to gain just by this simple development in this pelleting line.
Let's see if we can make a calculation.
Okay, so if we take only one product change in 1 hour, so you have more batches, but you have one product change in 1 hour, and instead of 10 minutes startup time, you do it in 5 minutes. So only then you can gain 5 to 8% of extra capacity in your line. Yeah. that's really a lot. Also, if you think in the big numbers, yeah, then it also has a very short return of investment.
Taking us to the next subject of this live stream, which I'm quite excited about. How about you?
Oh yeah, I'm all afternoon. I'm already excited. So
yeah, me too. Me too.
yeah.
So the product launch, because we covered the grinding line, we covered the pelleting line, and now we come to what we were all waiting for, I hope. In this rapidly changing and growing market, we see that there is a strong demand for high capacity. And with pride, we present our new line, the Titan line. Let's have a look. Wow, the Titan line, being our high-capacity conditioning and pelleting line within its core, the pellet mill, the CU1200. Harold, why this impressive addition to our pelleting portfolio?
Yeah, where we see from the past already that we only developed bigger and bigger and bigger. If you see the small pellet mills in the past, and over the years, they grow from 500, 600, 750, 900, then why to die with? So, but even then, with emerging markets, bigger capacities, mostly for the integrating companies, with a few recipes actually, so they need continuity in the line, also to make it highly efficient. So that is really what is up to, and that we thought, okay, we need to serve that market as well, because we see it's getting more and more common.
Mm-hmm. And as you mentioned, pellet mills grow. So we put some dies in the studio to show you the growth. And for some people who were paying attention, it was there all the time.
Yeah, that is really an impressive size, Noura. If you see this big die for the Titan pellet mill, it's really big. Yeah.
More on that later. As you said, I can imagine this pellet production in the feed mill is generally the most energy-consuming step in the whole process. And in an already competitive market, efficiency is key, right?
Yeah, of course. But beside that energy efficiency, we also must look not only at the efficiency of the energy, but also in maintenance and in changeovers, as well as the die changes. So with this, we actually took everything into account for developing this new pellet mill, this new pelleting line actually. Everything is taken into account to make it efficient and still energy efficient, but also with the other efficiencies we thought over very well.
The whole package.
The whole package, yes.
Let's talk about that pellet mill that you have there in 3D print. What makes this one stand out? Yeah,
at first I would say we have to look at its design, because this design is based on the know-how of our company, of our engineers, of our developers, which we gained in 50 years of production of pellet mills. So, of course, we made some changes, but also there we took the nice parts of the other ones and we added some new things to that. So everything which was good on the other ones we used, and now, let's say, also we took some new things to that. And you also already saw that in the animation. There are too many things to mention, but the only big difference you see is that we used a twin drive system with two separate motors. Separate motors with a twin drive. This is really new for us, but it's made in a completely new way that you don't see in the market. And we use two motors because one motor is extremely big, and now these are two standard motors which are more common to use in the market. So it's better to get those supplied, let's say it like that. So, and also if you look at the die, of course, it has a very big effective die surface of 1.5 square meter. That's really a lot, Noura.
1.5 square meters.
Yeah, that's really a lot.
That's the largest in the market. That's really a lot.
Yeah, and also here, the ease of operation. The ease of operation and the ease of maintenance. The maintenance access points, the simple but also inexpensive tools. These are taken into account for the production. So together with the automatic roller adjustment, so you have all flexibility in your production process, and also to maintain it well and to get it efficiently running and keep it running, because there is a lot of product going through that pellet mill. That's really nice to see. And if you look at what we calculated, with all the points ahead, we say, okay, we can go up to 8,000 production hours a year.
8,000 production hours a year of up to 70 tons per hour.
Yes, yes. So that brings us to the lowering the production cost down to a bit more than 3 euros per ton. And there is where we make the big difference. So actually, this Titan pellet mill enables actually our clients to produce the best possible feed in the most productive and economic way.
Actually, we got some questions about it already.
Okay, yeah, please fire off.
Yes. So we have one question about the slow turning device and the hoist trolley, whether they are included in the basic version.
The hoist, yes. Here you see it as well in the 3D print. It's a standard, and you also saw that in the latest movie. That is included. Which one? So the hoist and the
slow turning device.
And the slow turning device, yes, that is also included. Because and also mentioned that it's coming from the twin drive system, which is frequency controlled. So we use that drive system also for the slow turning device. So actually that is complete with that automatic roller adjustment. It really gives some extra tools for quick die changing. Yeah.
So I guess that leaves us with closing up this live stream. Thank you for the information.
You're welcome.
And for standing here with me in the spotlights about some very interesting subjects. I'd like to thank all the speakers and all the employees of Van Aarsen and everybody backstage who made this possible. And especially you out there in the world, taking the time to watch us and to listen to our news and to engage with us like this. That's really nice, gives a good energy. Bye.
Bye then.